All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our official podcast, episode 1, where it's filmed, well, not filmed, this is audio. The podcast that is recorded in multiple different locations, but the quality is always shitty. I'm one of your hosts, Mr. George Anthony Nunez, myself. I'm joined with my co-host and best friend, Chris Trejo.
Hello, everybody.
And today's guest is my sister, Jasmine.
Hello.
So, getting this podcast up and running was one of the most nightmarish things I've ever experienced.
But a very, very, very good learning experience for us.
I would call it a pain in the ass. So, our first episode, we just tested around the mics, seeing how the audio quality was, and it was only just me and you. So, I sounded pretty loud in mine, but the microphone didn't pick you up very well, so...
Which is weird because I'm loud and annoying. A lot of people have told me that I'm an awful person because I talk so loud.
Unfortunately, the mic didn't pick up on that. So we chalked that one up as a test episode, and we'll probably upload that later. Then we had our official episode 1 with Rios, and that was a great episode. But because...
Rios was in it.
No, but because the recorder that we're using, that I'm currently using right now, we had a lot of problems with it. The power cable didn't work, so I didn't want to turn on. And then once we did get it turned on, the memory card was not big enough for us to finalize our episode. So then we transitioned to a bigger recording little set, and unfortunately I do not have as much experience using that, so we did our episode 1 on that. And then when we were finished, when I tried to finish it and burn CD, because I was inexperienced, I accidentally deleted it.
It was great.
It was one of the best episodes we ever had. So now, flash forward a week later, we have a new power cable for the smaller recorder, and we have a bigger hard drive. So that's perfect. And I have more experience with this one, and we have 3 mics on this one, so that's perfect. The other one could only accommodate for 2 microphones.
Yeah. And you should see how we have this set up. It is quite professional, I must say.
All right, I got to take pictures and document our first episode.
What are we calling that thing?
Oh my God. Here's another problem. So the memory card that we bought, it's 1 gigabyte. The first one was only 128 megabytes, which is about 1/8 of a gigabyte. So I ordered a new one from Amazon, and when we plugged it in, it didn't register and it didn't want to work. I tried everything. I took the fucking thing apart, tried to see if there was something wrong with the internal devices inside. It seemed perfectly fine. When I swapped out the new one and put the old one back in, that one would work, but the gigabyte didn't want to work for some odd reason. I tried shoving it in, and I pressed really hard, and it worked. I'm like, okay, it's working now. As soon as I took my hand off of it, it didn't register again.
I just want to let everybody know he was almost at tears when this happened.
I know, so
it was pretty funny. I'm
frustrated.
sitting here on my phone like, I love life and not angry.
Yeah, and tell him what your idea was for me to fix it.
I just told him, hey, grab a butter knife and just jam it in there.
Yeah, so needless to say, that is what works. The only reason this show is working and is fully capable right now is because there's a butter knife sticking out of the 8-track recorder. And yes. I'm going to call it Mr. Slim.
Mr. Slim, the butter knife.
Thank God Mr. Slim, the official butter knife of the podcast, saved us. And he's the reason why we're in business. I'm going to call him like our funder or something. He's our entrepreneur who decided to invest in us. So on today's episode, we have, I guess, quite the paranormal topics to talk about today.
Yeah. It's going to be odd. It's going to be an odd podcast today.
Yeah. So, I guess I'll start it off. My most favorite one is probably aliens.
Aliens once again.
Yes.
Woo.
So,
let's
clarify real quick. These aren't the aliens that Piercy hates. Yeah. These are extraterrestrial aliens.
Out of this world.
Something that are not in this universe.
Or
maybe in this universe, maybe just hiding from us.
Yeah, they could be just hiding behind Mars.
You be getting ready to have your mind blown tonight.
Stupid Mars.
Stupid morons.
So, Jasmine, what do you think about aliens? Do you believe in them or no? Yay or nay?
Yay. Do I?
Chris?
Oh, of course I do.
So, I'm a huge UFO nerd. I remember when I was in grade school, when I would go to the library, I'd always check out books that had something to do with aliens or UFOs, and I loved reading about it. It always just fascinated me, so I guess I am a firm believer. I just don't know all the answers, and I think the biggest thing that probably got me influenced in it was the movie Fire in the Sky. Do you remember that movie, Jasmine, Fire in the Sky?
Oh, yeah, I remember that movie. That movie scared the shit out of me.
It scared me too. It's what messed me up. That's what got me hooked for life on aliens. And those of you who are not familiar with the story of Fire in the Sky is based on the alleged true story of Travis Walton, who lives in Flagstaff, Arizona, who was allegedly abducted by aliens after he and his lumberjack crew left work to go home, and they were in the forest. They thought they saw a UFO. Travis, to be, I guess, a show-off, got out of the truck, and this object knocked him unconscious, and everyone that was with him inside the vehicle freaked out. They drove off, left him, went to local law enforcement, told them about what happened, what they saw. They didn't believe him. They thought that they actually killed Travis, and they concocted this elaborate story to cover it up. So they went out with search teams, dogs, helicopters, the whole 9 yards, and they searched for, I think, 3 days looking for him. They couldn't find him. And then one day he magically appeared back, and he had this story that he was abducted by aliens.
With some graphic flashbacks and...
Yeah, that part's a little more dramatized, but still a good movie. You should check it out.
Yeah. So, then we get on to me. My first experience with them was always Phoenix Lights, because I had no idea what that was, and
That's a fascinating story.
that is a fascinating story. And I don't remember too much about it. I just remember thinking aliens were weird, and they're out there. There was no real movie that set it off for me. I just thought, you know what?
Something on real life.
Something in real life kind of took it out for me, and I don't know. There's explanations for it, I guess, now. And one thing George brought up, which is I'll let him talk about what he heard about Phoenix Lights, and I'm gonna let him tell a story that he had about his own experience.
Oh yeah, so to rewind real quick, Phoenix Lights, if I'm correct, at the time when they were reporting on it, I think, I would like to think that I live in an area where everyone in the valley isn't a dumbass. Like, they probably have to reasonably deduce something they can't explain. Like, if I saw a shooting star in the sky, I'm going to think of a million other things it could be before I jump to the conclusion that it's aliens or extraterrestrial in some nature. So I would like to think when they saw the Phoenix Lights, everyone thought it's probably just Luke Air Force Base, because we do live by it. But if I'm correct, the way the news reported on it, they stated that Luke Air Force Base said that they weren't doing anything and they have no idea what it is. On the other hand, though, if I was working at Luke Air Force Base and someone called me and said, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" I wouldn't tell them anything. I would keep them in the dark as well. So that's kind of where it's a toss-up right there, because they deny having anything to do with it, but they have justified reasons to keep that secret. So flash forward almost 10 years later, I'm in high school, and I'm driving south towards Luke Air Force Base with my cousin, and I see something that's eerily similar to Phoenix Lights. And at first, I didn't think much of it. If anything, I actually just wanted to be a little douche about it and say, like, "Hey, that could be aliens. Remember back in '98 when we saw those lights?" And then I kind of freaked my cousin out a little bit. And then as we got closer, we started to realize, like, "Hey, wait a minute. What is this? Holy shit, this probably is the same thing." And then they just disappeared, like, out of nowhere. Like, what the fuck happened? Where did they go? Where did they disappear to? We got home, told everyone what we saw, told them, like, "Oh, it could be UFOs," something like that. And then the very next day, I didn't see the news, but my aunt had told me that what we described was on the news, and we weren't the only ones that saw it. And Luke Air Force Base said, yeah, we were testing flares. So two very similar cases. We have the Phoenix Lights, where Luke Air Force Base denies any involvement, And then we have my scenario almost 10 years later, and Luke Air Force Base does acknowledge that it was them. So, Phoenix Lights might be reasonably explained, but that's still one of those things that's like one of the cool little stories in our little unknown town, I guess, or unimportant state.
That's a pretty important state.
No one wants to move to Arizona.
Whether it was or was not aliens, whatever. That was just the one thing that set it off for me, and
so it sparked your interest.
It could have not been anything, but I've looked more into it since then and thought to myself that we can't be the only ones out there. There has to be something else, or maybe not has to be, but could be something else out there, something else watching us. And your turn.
I think the coolest thing that I thought about aliens that we haven't really been on a full blast level experience with them is that I think of it like when you're like walking down the street and you see a bug, you don't want to talk to it. You know that you're much smarter than that bug, and you're like, I'm not going to have a conversation with this bug. This bug doesn't even know how intelligent I am. You just continue with your day. And I feel like if anything came across our universe or Earth, they think the same thing. It's like, they're probably dumb. We don't want anything to do with them. They're not nearly as intelligent as we could be, And I think that's maybe one of the things that we haven't really been in contact with, whatever's out there.
That's actually a pretty interesting point.
I never thought of it like that.
I never thought a 15-year-old could say something so intelligent.
Wow. I mean...
Oh no, you just turned 16, didn't you?
Ooh, look at you. Can almost drive and stuff.
Look at me, brother of the year. Almost know my sister's age.
Almost. Just so if Megan's listening, her birthday was December 23rd, 1993, probably. I think that's when that happened.
Probably?
No, I know exactly that's when her birthday is because I have it in my phone. But that was very insightful. I mean, I've never actually even thought of it like that.
It's pretty good. Let's see, Jasmine's birthday is June 6, 1998. And I think the only reason why I remember the year is because I like to say I haven't done such and such since 1998. Every time someone says they haven't done something in a long time, I respond with 1998. I don't know why. Little interjection though. I like to splice like possible alien theories with human history and in religious history too. So my example, like the story I always tell people, is the story of Elijah. So if you're not familiar with the story of Elijah, allegedly the story in the Bible goes like this: Elijah was someone who lived a life as best he could in the eyes of God, in a time where everyone else was not, and God loved him so much for that God couldn't stand to see Elijah die. So what he did was he sent his angels down to earth to pick Elijah up and bring him to heaven. So the words they use in the Bible is a flaming chariot came down from the sky and swept Elijah off. Now, the verbiage in that is very interesting because in the Bible is so kind of mysterious and so filled with metaphors that you can't always pinpoint what exactly they're trying to say. That's why there's so many religions and why so many people are fighting over things, and people can't agree that the Bible's black and white. It's so gray. But here's the funny thing, like with the words they use, it was on fire. Now fire, if we're getting metaphor, fire was always used to describe hell or punishment or the wrath of God. So it kind of misses the context that God is doing this out of love to pick him up, but it's on fire. So fire wouldn't be the right term to use if someone was describing it, if something magical was happening to Elijah. And then the second word is chariot. Now chariot back then didn't take on the meaning like it does today. So when I say chariot, you probably think of horse and carriage. To them, they didn't have a diversified vocabulary when it came to means of transportation because there's only one, or very few, either on foot, either on horseback, or on something that's being pulled by horse. So, if a UFO landed outside our house right now, and I said, holy crap, it's a spaceship, and let's say an alien walked out and hypothetically spoke English, he would probably say something along the lines of, a spaceship? What the hell is a spaceship? Oh, that thing? That's what you guys call it? We don't call it a spaceship. We call it XYZ. So...
That's not factual. We don't know that they call them XYZ. I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah, blah, 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 blank, blank, blank. We call it yada, yada, yada. So, back then they obviously didn't have various terms for transportation. Like today we have boats, we have cars, we have motorcycles, we have airplanes, we have submarines. We have a lot more at hand than they did back then. So, let's say it was a spaceship. The reason why it's on fire is because it's entering our atmosphere. And if it was a spaceship, they wouldn't know what to call it a spaceship. They would probably refer to it in the generic terms as possible as a means of transportation. And I believe that's where the word carriage comes into place. So, one or two things. One, maybe God lives up in the sky in the universe, and the aliens are his angels, and they watch over us. That's a pretty far stretch. Like, people are not going to believe me on that. They're like, nope, that sounds totally unreasonable. Or two, the people who were there and saw Elijah go to heaven were probably witnessing a UFO abduction, and they thought it was divine intervention. And they said, oh my goodness, he's going to heaven, it's God. And Elijah's probably screaming, oh my God, save me.
Save me! Save!
Someone stop them.
That is crazy.
So, there's that, and that's like the biggest story, I think. Like, it's either one of those two things. Aliens are angels, and they work for God, and they're watching over us from the sky. Or two, it wasn't God at all. It was not divine intervention. People just witnessed a UFO abduction and thought it was divine intervention.
Yeah.
Did I just blow your mind?
Yeah, I never thought of it that way. That's crazy.
Do you need to take a minute? Regroup and,
Well, paranormal's always been something that fascinates me.
How do you feel about ghosts?
Gots are really scary.
Gots are really scary. Gots.
Gots to get
yes,
you.
I believe in ghosts. And I am, dying to have an experience with them.
I am not.
No, there are Goodyear House, man. Something was happening there. I don't know if Georgie ever experienced anything there, but...
Where?
At our Goodyear House.
Okay, so to fill people in, so we lived in a Goodyear house. I only stayed there half the week. I would stay there on my days off from work, and then when I went back to work, I would stay at my grandma's house because it just cut my trip in half. When I came back home, my mom and Jasmine were telling me stories of weird stuff happening in the house, and I just thought, these women are crazy. They're just...
we had a big house, and it was really big, and it was just me and my mom to ourselves to the house, and it was a pretty new area, and there wasn't that many houses, there was a lot of houses, but not many people lived in them because, they were still building, and...
It was a new development. So what kind of stuff happened in the house?
So I remember one night that I was laying down in my bed. It was always over summer, so it's probably around 3 o'clock in the morning. I had woke up, and behind me was a wall that had 2 little windows at the top, and you could see the street lights coming in. And so if I faced the wall on where my bed was, if there was anything behind me, I would see a shadow. And I woke up and I just saw a shadow right there. And what else do? You freak out. I mean, you can't move, and you're kind of just staring at that shadow. And I remember
Also, but I do believe in ghosts. I don't believe our house was haunted. I'm going to try to debunk everything, but I do believe in ghosts. But I just have a feeling that they're there's no man in the house right now. We're so scared.
Yeah, but
what would make a difference if you were there, though?
I I stayed.
Like, you didn't even that right over your head.
What do you mean?
Because you said there's no man in the house.
Oh,
so what difference is that?
I thought you meant the experiences.
Everybody at home is just going, I called him a girl.
So I would come home like, there's nothing wrong. I don't hear anything. I'm like, but if it is, then yeah, I'm totally down to go back to that house and fucking whip out the recorders and try to talk to them.
Yeah, my mom also had an experience. I remember one night I didn't hear anything. It was I did, but didn't think too much of it. It was at night, and my mom had heard some like cabinets slamming downstairs. You know, she texted my dad. She's like, "Hey, if you're gonna come home, you know, drunk and angry and slamming cabinets, you know, just like don't even come upstairs. Just sleep on the couch." And you know, my dad didn't live with us, and so when my dad comes off work at 4 o'clock in the morning, he's like, "What are you talking about? I wasn't here. Who was slamming cabinets?" You know, he was all freaking out. He's like, "I wasn't here. What do you mean you heard?"
Was it me?
No, you weren't there.
I wasn't there either. Okay.
And, you know, my mom was like, just thought it was my dad, and my dad came. He's like, yeah, I wasn't here.
What if it was blue?
Huh. What
if his tail was slapping cabinets?
Cabinets all the way up there.
We don't know which cabinets it were. It could have been the cabinets on the lower part of the counter.
It's still just as creepy though, is it not?
I suppose.
Tell the dog to stop being weird.
I believe in haunted houses. I just don't believe my house was haunted.
I don't know, this is weird.
But I would love to freaking try to talk to one.
I'm back and forth on that, you know.
Have any problems with it after that?
Haunted dolls. I'm glad I don't have any of those. I remember.
Nana Amy always used to
Maybe that's why people sleepwalk. Maybe they're possessed.
Don't say that. I sleepwalk.
You don't know you sleepwalk though.
Yes, I do. Mom tells me.
Yeah, but you don't know that you're sleepwalking when you're sleepwalking. You wake up and someone tells you you're walking. You're like, oh, I was? I must have been sleepwalking. Like, you could tell me that I was sleepwalking last night and I'd believe you. I'm like, okay, I guess it's true. Because I wouldn't remember when I'm sleepwalking.
I woke up in the kitchen table.
In the kitchen table?
No, well, not in it. But I mean, I was like on it and I was like, what am I doing here?
What were you eating?
I wasn't eating anything. My head was just, I was laying like this and my head was off the table and my mom said that I left the light on and I turned it off and I went back in the bed.
Well, there you go.
Sleepwalking, man, it's scary.
That's...
My cousin Bailey used to sleepwalk. I remember she fell down the stairs one time.
Oh my god.
It was crazy.
Your sister sleepwalks too, doesn't she, you said?
She doesn't sleepwalk. When she was younger, she used to do this thing where her eyes would be half open. And she'd be like looking at things. She'd be dreaming. And it used to freak me out. And for a long time, I thought my sister was possessed and I didn't like her, which I still don't. But... You know, she just used to do that. My dad told me what it was, which brings me to... he told me about REM sleep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's...
Stands for rapid eye movement.
There we go.
And it's when you're dreaming. You dream when you hit REM sleep.
You're in your deepest sleep when you're dreaming. You don't dream... You kind of do like a half-assed dream sometimes, that where you feel like you're falling, you go to catch yourself, and you're laying in bed, and then you feel like an idiot, where you're like me and you're sleeping in class, and you kick the person in front of you because you think you're falling, but you're really not.
Yeah, that happens to me a lot.
REM sleep is when you're in the deepest sleep, and you're just like, you're out there, you're dreaming, and it's weird because some people... I think that must be where sleepwalking comes from. I mean, you must be in that deep of a sleep that you're reenacting your dream. Your dream's going on, because I talk in my sleep. That's my biggest thing. I don't snore. I'm one of those fun ones. I'm a cuddler and I don't snore, but I will talk. I will talk in my sleep.
Bacon.
Yeah. No, I don't do that.
You can't snore and dream at the same time. Do you know that?
That's good because I don't snore ever.
What? Really? What?
Yeah,
So
you can't be dreaming while you're snoring.
Wonder if Dad dreams then.
That's what I'm saying.
Is that a true fact?
Yeah.
Oh man.
We gotta fact check this.
What?
But you were sleepwalking in Oregon again?
Yeah.
That's awesome. What'd you do this time?
I don't know. My mom can tell me what I did. I just remember being out of one of the nights. I was. She said she had lost her nose ring, and I went to the bathroom, and I found it, and I put it wherever, I don't know. And then I came back, and I told her I found your nose ring, and then she was like, okay. And then the next morning, she was like...
So wait, you found the nose ring as you were sleepwalking?
Yes.
Okay.
And she was like, Jasmine, where's my nose ring at? And I was like, huh? And she was like, you said you found it in the bathroom. Where'd you put it? I was like, I don't know.
I don't know what you're talking about, Mom. Are you on drugs?
And then she found it, and she said that I had put it on the sink. And then one other night, it was probably the next night or something, I went up and I had walked to the kitchen, I'm assuming, and I probably ate, I don't know. And
So you're a sleep eater as well?
I don't know, but it's a possibility, I can imagine. And I had opened up the chair, and I went back, and I was like this. And
people can't see what you're doing, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to show you what I'm doing.
Oh, okay,
and so I had my head down, and then I woke up, and I was like, what the hell am I doing in the kitchen? It was like 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well, you're a woman. That's where you belong.
Oh.
Gender roles. Traditional gender roles.
Shut up.
That's okay.
The thing said if I wanted breakfast in bed to sleep in the kitchen, so.
That's why you're there. Coach? So, she taught me this. Lucid dreaming. Now that's trippy. Jasmine, do you want to fill him in on lucid dreaming? Because I've been telling him that you're an expert on it and researching it. Yeah. I just took her word for it.
Yeah.
Have you ever...
It might all, and listeners, it might all be fake. You guys may be sitting there going, oh, she's playing these idiots like so well.
No, it's good. Like, I read about lucid dreaming when I was in 7th grade. It was summer, and all it said was a paragraph. It said, lay down, be really tired, don't move, just try to go to bed, but kind of like stay awake. And after 30 minutes, your body will go into sleep, but your mind will still be up, and you can dream with your eyes open. You can control your dreams, and so and so. And I remember for a long time, I couldn't do it. I would get frustrated, and I was probably just like thinking about it too much, And after a year goes by, and I still try like every night, and it wasn't successful at all. And then one night, I remember I had to get up to go to the bathroom. It was like in the middle of the night, and I was very, very tired. And so I went to the bathroom, and I came back, and I fell right back asleep. But my body fell right back asleep before my mind did. And I remember laying in my bed, and I remember hearing like these faint but really loud yells, and it was my mom yelling for me. And she's like, Jasmine, but like it freaks you out, like you can feel your heart pounding, and it's freaking you out for whatever reason, but you can't move. And all of a sudden, like, you just like start seeing weird things, like you open your eyes, and like you're in your dream, and it's like whatever's happening, and you can't really move. And it's weird. That was my first time. And then a couple of weeks ago, I had realized that I was doing it on accident all the time, and it was something that I couldn't control anymore. And it's a good and a bad thing, because if you watch something scary before, what's in your mind, and you can't move at all. And I remember one time I was laying down, I was going to bed, and I remember the door had opened, and I was just like stuck. And I had opened my eyes, and I remember this really dark figure was like walking toward me. It's scary, like I almost shit myself, but you can't move. And it's like you see it's like your worst nightmares ever, and you just can't move. And I don't really remember after that, but a lot of nightmares that happens with me mostly, but it happens so common now that I can control it, and like I can do whatever I want. Like,
same with me. Once I realize I'm dreaming, I can control what happens.
And I remember I thought I was gonna get stuck one time, because I had just watched Insidious, and
love that movie.
And that movie freaked me out. It's all about that kid that's stuck in his dreams. So I went to bed one night, and I was in some school, and like you couldn't get out of it. Like, it was just like a paradox. Every time you'd open a door and you get out, it's like you're back in it. And I remember all the lights were off, and like only the emergency lights on. Everyone's in there, freaking out, like, how do we get out? And I knew I was dreaming, and I couldn't wake myself up. And you know how like people say like, oh, I'm dreaming, pinch me. And I was like, I remember I went up to this girl. I was like, pinch me. You need to wake me up, pinch me, because I'm gonna be stuck in here forever. And I remember she was pinching me really hard, and I can feel myself like getting tingly, and I think I was like trying to wake up, and it wasn't working. I was like, no, you need to pinch me harder. And I remember she pinched me really hard, and I swear to God, I just flashed into another dream, and it was like right in this spot, and I was like being choked out by my dad, and then my brother was like right here. He was like, what are you doing? And then right when I don't know, I think I was gonna die.
You didn't stop him?
I was about to die, and then I just woke up.
I want to find out what his reasons were first. Like, maybe he was justified.
Yeah, maybe it was for good reason. So.
I don't know. I remember I was just like about to die, and then right when I died, I just woke up, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah, once I had a bad dream, and I pinched myself, and it actually worked. I woke up.
Yeah,
Took a lot of mind power, a lot of concentration.
I don't have that much concentration or mind power.
Especially when I sleep.
I have a hard enough time just going to sleep. I don't have enough mind power and concentration when I'm awake, so.
I think that was a good first episode.
It was.
And this time it's not going to get ruined.
Not at all. So.
Does this conclude our episode?
Yeah.
This does.
It does. Hope everyone enjoyed it. Hope everyone learned something.
We should have such a better ending to this. We should have like fireworks and stuff going on in the background.
Right.
How much do you think it would cost to have like Michael Bay come to our ending?
Oh my God. Can't even get the guy to stand on top for a press conference. We'll let Rios get on it. Rios loves Michael Bay. He loves Michael Bay films.
Disgusting.
He prefers Pain and Gain over The Departed, which is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. So, all right. Episode 1 signing off.
Adios.
Goodbye.